Welcome to round 4 of the Cologne Legacy League in April. In this game, we see Mono-Blue Mystic Forge combo against Mono-Red Prison. We see Knut on the right and Preslav on the left, and Knut starts it off with turn 1 Chalice on 1. Exciting an ape for that.
Yeah, and Chalice, of course, always the preferred turn 1 play for the Mono-Red Stompy players. That being said, not a very good card against Mystic Forge combo. Main deck, it hits a key, and that's really it. And so Preslav wisely lets it resolve, plays his own Ancient Tomb.
Ancient Tomb into Grim Monolith. So I think that's a solid start. Into Lion's Eye Diamond. So access to 5 mana now. 6.
Yeah, and you notice, but neither of these spells hit by Leyline Chalice of the Void. Please excuse me. That being said, turn 1 in the dark, Knut has no reason to assume that Chalice would be bad here.
So looking at Knut's hand, I see a Blood Moon. I see a lot of turn 3 plays. Preslav drawing again for 2 life, another Grim Monolith.
And now starting to search his deck box for the tokens that show how much mana he's got open. Always a sight you want to see when you're playing against a combo deck. But do notice that the turn 1 Chalice cost Knut his Spirit Guide, which meant that he didn't have a turn 2 play where he could have went from 2 to 3 mana, instead opting to go from 1 to 2 mana, playing a Chalice of the Void, which, as I said, in this matchup doesn't really do anything. Now, had he known that, he could have waited until turn 3 and possibly played a card like, for example, a Trinisphere, which actually does something in this matchup.
So now Preslav playing for the 6 mana, playing the Mystic Forge that he... which is the name giver of the deck, so let's see what he can do with it.
Yeah, Mystic Forge, the card that gave the deck its name. The Mono-Blue Mystic Forge, Mono-Blue here being for, on the one hand, Echo of Eons, which is a mainstay of the deck, but on the other hand, does machines, so we have also been turtleized, and that is certainly a new card. The game plan, of course, quite simple. Play as many artifacts as possible and kill with Glaring Flesh Wrecker.
Yeah, quite simple, but also quite complex, right? I mean, you... alone what happened here, we saw a Lion's Eye Diamond. The Lion's Eye Diamond got cracked for the blue mana, then with the remaining floating mana, casting the Echo, or flashbacking the Echo, and then both players drawing 7 cards again.
Yeah. And it's quite interesting, even though it's only 2 blue cards, and of course Echo of Eons being the important one, but that does open Preslav up to Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast out of the Mono-Red deck, which could be a blowout if Knut finds it post-board and actually times it right. But things being as they are, Preslav is now going to attempt to cast as many spells as possible, and of course, once the Flesh Wrecker hits the board, the Eldrazi tokens do provide more mana to cast more spells, which in the end, while not exactly being an infinite combo, is getting very close to it. And unlike a Storm deck where you're just counting up your spells here, you're basically just counting down the opponent's life total.
That is true. Did he count the Storm? No, he didn't. But now we have the Flesh Wrecker in play, putting Preslav on 0 mana.
Flesh Wrecker being a creature is highly relevant here, because of course it is susceptible to quite a lot of removal. For example, from Knut's sideboard, an Abrade, which obviously is going to bring in, seeing as how Preslav plays somewhere in the vicinity of 40 different artifacts. But it is a creature that needs to resolve, and a creature that needs to be on the battlefield in order to do something, and that means he was always going to have a window to actually interact with it.
Yeah, look at his hand. It's kind of packed, right?
I mean,
what outs would be good?
The question is, what outs would Knut have here in actual to actually prevent Preslav from winning? he will not realistically be able to interact with any of these artifacts, at least not in the mass that he's got. So he's playing a Magus of the Moon, which really only hits the one land and turns it, into a mountain. Not the best card to play here, but honestly, game 1, he also does not have a lot of options.
So is Preslav activating the Mystic Forge here before draw step?
Yeah.
Battle trigger. That should put Knut on 19, right? Yes.
Now, the key card in Knut's deck is Karn the Great Creator. If he can find that and resolve it, it will almost certainly lock Preslav out of the game unless he's got an answer for it. But that means having to go to 4 mana, and again, this all goes back to turn 1. He did pitch the Simian Spirit Guide, and assuming that he doesn't have another land in his hand, and he just turned himself off of any of his soul lands, seeing as how he played a Magus of the Moon. Getting to 4 mana is not going to be easy.
I have a question here. Where did the mana for the colorless mana for the second Flash Raker came from?
Did he make a Flash Raker token and then immediately get rid of it?
The spawn. Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they do feed into each other quite well. And then, of course, the benefit of this being a creature combo instead of, for example, a storm combo is you can make it faster. If you've got 2 of them, now, your opponent is a half-life without you having cast a single spell. And so Kozilek's command, I know these gestures, I've played against Preslav quite a lot of times. He is currently explaining to his opponent why all of these things happen at the same time and why he's going to make so many tokens, and these so many tokens are almost certainly going to kill Knut on the spot.
They will. How many does he make? What did he cast the Kozilek's
I think
command
X
for?
equals 2 or 3. So Lion's Eye Diamond makes 2 more tokens, which means he gets 2 more mana, which means Knut goes to 5, and he's going to pack it up because he doesn't want to see himself go to 0, which I understand fully. So game 1 is over, and that of course means the interesting part is going to take place. First of all, I love this deck list. Full set of 4-offs. It's absolutely perfect. Knut is certainly going to bring in Boomerang Basics because that gets rid of a couple of... Preslav, of course, is going to bring in Boomerang Basics. That's going to get rid of a couple of permanents that might be annoying to him. But I think that might actually be it. He will need something to deal with Khan. Boomerang Basics might help with that. And apart from that, I don't really think there are any permanents that he wants to interact with, such that he would bring in Wastegate Battle Mage, for example. Knut, on the other hand, is definitely, or should definitely, bring in a Braids. Maybe Sorcerer Spyglass. That's from the Wishboard. Maybe Fairy Macabre, but honestly, I think main deck is he's quite well positioned already.
Yeah, if he can apply early pressure with a little disruption. I think the Trinispheres can probably go, right? Or no, they're pretty
Trinispheres are good.
To prevent him comboing in.
He should obviously bring in Dead Gone because that kills Flash Raker. It only has 2 life. So, game 2.
So what do we see? Both players kept 7. Oh no, Preslav went to 6, and Knut kept 7, starting off with the Mountain, Chromax, Imprinting. I didn't see that.
He goes for
starting again with the Chalice.
He goes for the Chalice again. I couldn't see what he imprinted, but it seems to be a foil card. So something pretty.
He played it for 0.
Well, that makes sense.
That makes more sense. Yeah, I agree. So now what could we have for 2? I don't think he has anything for 2 in his deck, right?
No, but that of course means that he had to play the Chromox before, because otherwise he would chalice himself out.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the deck list. I know what he imprinted here. The God of the Forge.
Mm-hmm. I was going to wonder about the Moxopal and whether or not Knut missed the trigger, but in response to the cast, he got rid of the Flash Raker, and then of course the trigger caught the Moxopal as well. Simian Spirit Guide goes into the bin, and Blood Moon.
Oh yeah. So only one colorless now for Preslav here, which is probably the biggest concern for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, so much for that. One ring lands, and that of course means that he's going to be burying himself in card advantage, although Knut does have his own ring, but he is short 2 mana to cast it. And
yeah, some pressure would be good for Knut here.
Well, there you go.
Brought up Bombardiers.
That is a serious amount of pressure.
3.
Did not attack, of course, because Preslav had protection.
Yep. Smart Knut, as we know him. So now Preslav taking a damage. We're in his upkeep here.
We certainly are. He is deciding to draw more cards, I suppose, before the trigger goes on the stack.
Yep.
Oh, never mind. He must have taken the trigger already. So plays another fancy mountain. And there's the Forge.
The Mystic Forge decides to keep the card. One more mountain.
Answers with his own ring.
And one more one ring.
Mm-hmm.
At least now we have a clock.
Yeah, and of course, with the Bombardiers, an even better one. Decides not to go for the trigger. He doesn't see any value in stacking something here.
And that's surprising me. I mean, at this point, do you just throw in the Chromax because you can only do it once a turn?
That would be reasonable, but then again, it's only 2 damage.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah.
Do I not understand? Those 2 damage could also be killing a Fleshraker next turn, so maybe he's waiting
Oh,
for
that's
that.
true. You can throw it at anything, right? Yeah. So Preslav, I think, pretty much under pressure here. Playing the Grim Monolith, now having access to colorless mana. Playing the mystical, the Manifold Key from the top. And now he has access to a lot of mana.
Yeah, drawing some more cards, of course, with the one ring. But so is Knut, so that point is kind of moot. And of course, this does hasten the clock on Preslav. Never mind that, never forget that the one ring is also 6 damage on Knut's end if he decides to toss it.
So now mana's being counted. Tapping the monoliths, floating 3 colorless. And then a red, and probably now untapping the monolith. No. Here comes the Fleshraker.
Yep. He has arrived, and so now this changes the situation, of course, because assuming that this resolves, which why wouldn't it? Preslav has the opportunity to get something going here. Practically pitches the Moxopal to the Chalice in order to get enough for Fleshraker trigger, which should be putting damage somewhere.
Yeah, it should also be. That should also
Never
be.
mind. Knut is still protected from the one ring, of course.
Oh right.
Interesting choice to go off here, considering that he is protected by the one ring, but then again, now is as good a time as any to actually do something, because Knut is tapped out, and he does have removal, even though he already used an Abrade, but Preslav doesn't know that that's the only one in his deck.
Yeah, you're right. It's an interesting choice. Trying to accumulate advantage for the next turn to have a secure kill. Playing another Ancient Tomb.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the dream here is to find another Fleshraker, because obviously he has to be aware of the fact that if Knut gets to untap, this Fleshraker is as good as dead, because he's got a plenty of ways to get rid of it. One of which, of course, is just, you know, taking out the attacking with the goblins, and so they're gone now. That makes sense. And in the end, that might have been what Preslav was trying to do all along. Just basically dig for Kozilek's return because he has to get rid of the Bombardiers.
Yep.
Kozilek's command. Excuse me.
So Preslav counting his mana. Still...
We are untapping the ring and we are drawing more cards.
That is correct. From a card advantage point of view, that puts Preslav ahead quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, if you thought the One Ring was good, the One Ring with Key is even better.
Right, so let's see what's coming. At this point, I feel like Knut is watching what's happening to him.
Yeah, the Bombardiers was the out, at least it seems to me that it was. And with that being gone now, Knut is reduced to 3, well, 4 if you include the Chrommox permanents, but neither of them do a lot. The Chalice of the Void kept a couple of 0 mana spells off the board, but then again you notice that Preslav was willing to pitch those into the Chalice quite willingly, even assuming that he figured that Knut is not going to miss the trigger, just in order to get the Fleshwrecker triggers, make a mana, so basically all the Chalice did is it turned these cards into Lotus Petals. And then, of course, the Blood Moon does limit the amount of mana that is available to Preslav, as well as the colors. However, all the Eldrazi spawns do provide him with colorless mana. And then you get a One Ring, which, yes, at this point in time is the only reason why Knut is still alive. But that's going to go away eventually as well. And then what has he got?
It's true. I mean, Preslav is continuing, and obviously he is absolutely fantastic at playing this deck, but for me, like an unknown, like a not so experienced person, especially with this deck, I'm just wondering where he keeps going here and what he is looking for.
I think he isn't looking for anything in particular. It's just that it doesn't hurt him to keep building and keep improving his position. I'm not quite sure if he would be able to kill in the upkeep, seeing as how that is when the protection wears off. But he might just be willing to dig through his entire deck to just get rid of basically all of Knut's permanents that annoy him, stem whatever the next turn has in store for him, and then just win the game outright. Because Knut does not have any mass removal. He has no opportunity or no option to get rid of the board. This would be different if he played something like a Meltdown, although these artifacts are all quite costly. There is no way for him to get rid of more than one Fleshwrecker at a time. And Preslav knows this, even if he doesn't know the actual deck list of Knut's. He does know what the deck plays in general, and that it typically doesn't play any effects. Well, he might have brought in Fury, for example, but then you can still overwhelm that by just playing more Fleshwreckers and just making sure that you're going to win the game the next turn immediately. And that's what he might be trying here.
So now he passed the turn, binning the Echo of Eons, which is good for him. That's what he wants from Knut. Drawing 2 cards, seeing if there's any out for him. He finds a Fable.
Which you could tell from the way that he's playing it. He's playing it because he can, but he knows that it's really not going to do anything. And letting Preslav untap here is certain defeat. The question is just if you can manage to somehow impose some sort of limitation on him, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Preslav untaps, and here at this point he might as well just flip around his entire deck and say I win, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, three keys, the ring, the monoliths, the Echo of Eons. Preslav has access to everything here. 7 spawns.
And so he starts counting down now, and notice how well this deck played around the prison pieces. Neither Chalice of the Void nor Blood Moon actually hindered it, and all the One Ring did, aside from drawing cards, is just stopping the bleeding for one single turn. And I mean, if the deck is called Red Prison, that's just fine. But if the prison doesn't work, if the door is open, if you allow me the metaphor, it's not a prison at all. It's just you're playing something. You're telling people, please don't walk across this line, but he can just walk around it quite easily, and that's what he did in this game.
Yeah, as a Lens player, I'm very jealous.
Could be yours for just under 2,000, I think. That's how much the deck is. And Knut very bravely goes to -2, and that's it.
Scoops it up here. Thank you for watching. See you next month.
See you.